The stars were silent that night, yet the crew of the starship Aurora felt a strange tension in the air. Commander Ryland stood on the bridge, his hands gripping the cold railing, staring at the endless black ahead. The emergency signal had arrived without warning, a faint, pulsing light blinking on the main console, and immediately, a shiver ran through everyone. Lieutenant Kira stepped forward, her voice calm but tense. "Commander, it's not like any signal we've seen before," she said, her fingers hovering over the control panel. Ryland's eyes narrowed, trying to make sense of the strange code scrolling across the screen. Every piece of it was unfamiliar, yet it carried a sense of urgency that gnawed at their instincts. The crew exchanged worried glances. The youngest engineer whispered to himself, "It's like something calling us," but no one heard him. The Aurora had traveled through uncharted space for months, encountering planets with strange life forms and phenomena that defied physics, but nothing had prepared them for this. This signal felt alive, almost intelligent, as if it had a mind of its own. Suddenly, the lights on the bridge flickered, and a low hum filled the air. The signal grew stronger, vibrating through the floor beneath their feet. It was no longer just a code or a warning. It was a message, clear and impossible. Commander Ryland's voice broke the tension. "All right, crew, prepare for analysis, and remain alert," he ordered, though inside, his heart raced. The crew moved quickly, calibrating instruments, adjusting scanners, and monitoring the source of the mysterious signal. As they traced its origin, the sensors picked up something unusual. A massive object drifting silently between two dying stars. It looked like a spaceship, but its shape was nothing like anything the human mind could imagine. Jagged, yet smooth in impossible angles, glowing with colors that had no name. Kira's eyes widened as she said, It's ancient and enormous." A feeling of awe and fear swept across the bridge. The Aurora slowly approached the object, the emergency signal growing louder and more urgent. Every crew member felt it, a pull deep in their chest, as if the ship itself wanted them to come closer. Ryland gritted his teeth. "Stay calm. We need to know what we are facing." But even he couldn't hide the awe in his voice. Then, the unimaginable happened. The object emitted a beam of light that enveloped the Aurora, yet it did no harm. Instead, it imprinted images into their minds, visions of distant worlds, civilizations rising and falling, creatures beyond comprehension, and a warning, "Beware. The darkness approaches. Do not fail." The crew staggered back, trying to comprehend the message. Their hearts pounded, their breaths shallow. Talon whispered, almost to himself, "It's telling us something important." Kira stepped forward, eyes fixed on the screens, trying to translate the final part of the signal. Ryland felt a mixture of fear and responsibility. This is bigger than us," he said, and he knew that whatever lay ahead, it would change humanity forever. The signal faded as suddenly as it appeared, leaving the crew in stunned silence. The stars outside seemed emptier now, the cold blackness pressing in on them. Every member of the Aurora knew this was only the beginning. Whatever awaited them beyond those stars would test the courage, the strength, and the very heart of humanity. And deep inside, each of them wondered, could they rise to meet it, or would they fail? The Aurora drifted slowly away from the massive alien object, but the memory of the signal lingered in every crew member's mind. Commander Ryland paced the bridge, his thoughts heavy. "We need to understand what we just received," he said, though even he felt the weight of the unknown pressing down on him. Lieutenant Kira studied the decoded fragments of the signal, her fingers moving quickly over the console. "It's more than a warning," she whispered. "It's a map, and maybe a message from a civilization far older than ours." The crew gathered around, eyes wide, trying to grasp what she meant. Talon, the young engineer, had not left his station, his hands shaking slightly as he worked on the communication array. "If we can trace it, maybe we can find out who sent it," he said. "Or what's coming." Ryland nodded, knowing that every second mattered. The feeling of urgency returned, stronger than before. Suddenly, the bridge lights flickered again, and a low vibration ran through the hull. The ship shuddered, as if something massive was moving outside. Kira's eyes widened. "Sensors are picking up something approaching," she said, her voice tight with fear. Everyone froze, listening to the hum that grew louder with each passing second. Outside, through the viewports, a dark shape emerged from the void. Massive and unlike any natural object, its surface shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting the dying stars around it. It moved with intelligence, circling the Aurora, almost studying them. Talon stepped back, pale. "It's alive," he whispered, and no one argued. Ryland's hands clenched the railing. "Prepare defenses, but do not provoke it," he ordered. "We don't know its intentions." The crew scrambled, energy shields humming to life, weapons systems charging, yet no one felt confident. They had faced strange planets and creatures, but this was something beyond comprehension. The alien presence suddenly emitted a sound, low and vibrating, yet somehow intelligible. The bridge crew could hear thoughts in their minds, not words, but feelings, fear, warning, and an urgent message. "Do not ignore the darkness. It is coming for you. For all of you." The crew shivered, the message sinking deep into their hearts. Kira's voice trembled. "It's not attacking. It's guiding us." Ryland turned sharply. "Guiding? Towards what?" She pointed at a glowing star cluster far ahead. "There. That's where it wants us to go." Every member of the crew felt the pull, magnetic and unrelenting. The ship's engines responded as if they understood their mission. Talon looked at the readings, alarm on his face. "Commander, the path it shows. It's through uncharted space, filled with radiation storms, black holes, even time anomalies." Ryland swallowed hard. "We have no choice," he said. "If this civilization believed we could face it, we must try." A quiet determination settled over the crew, fear replaced by courage, as the Aurora altered its course. The massive alien object slowly faded behind them, leaving only the faint hum of its presence. But its influence remained, guiding them forward. The stars ahead seemed alive now, twisting and bending in ways that defied logic. Every crew member knew that the journey ahead would test their minds, their bodies, and their humanity. And deep in the dark void, something waited, watching, measuring, and waiting for the humans to rise to the challenge. The emergency signal had been a call, a challenge, and perhaps a warning. But the Aurora and its crew were determined. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, and humanity would not falter. The Aurora sailed into uncharted space, the stars bending strangely around them. Strange energy waves pulsed through the ship, rattling the hull and making every crew member hold their breath. Commander Ryland stood at the bridge, scanning the readings. "This path, it's dangerous," he said, but the determination in his voice gave the crew strength. Lieutenant Kira monitored the sensors, her eyes flicking over each screen. "Radiation spikes are higher than anything we've ever seen, and the gravitational anomalies are extreme," she warned. The ship shook violently as a sudden wave of energy hit them, throwing loose equipment across the bridge. Talon scrambled to secure the consoles, muttering, "If this keeps up, the ship could tear apart." Despite the fear, the crew pressed on, following the signal's guidance. Their trust in the message was stronger than their fear. Somehow, they knew this path was meant for them, not to destroy them, but to prepare them. The lights flickered again, and the bridge filled with a low, humming vibration. Out of the darkness, colossal shapes appeared, massive asteroids that seemed alive, orbiting in unseen force. "They're moving with intention," Kira whispered. "These aren't just rocks, they're sentinels." The Aurora maneuvered carefully between them, engines straining, shields glowing brightly. Talon's hands flew over the controls, sweat dripping down his face. Then came the first test. A gravity storm erupted ahead, twisting space itself. Time seemed to slow, and the stars stretched into long streaks. The ship groaned as the turbulence pushed them toward the center of the storm. "Hold her steady," Ryland shouted, gripping the railing. The crew worked in perfect synchrony, adjusting shields, engines, and navigation with precision, every second counting. As they passed through the storm, a strange phenomenon appeared, a massive tear in space. Like a window into another universe, colors danced and swirled, impossible shapes moving inside the void. That's the signal's destination," Kira said in awe, her voice barely a whisper. Every crew member stared, hearts pounding, knowing they were witnessing something beyond human understanding. Suddenly, the tear emitted a shockwave of energy, and the Aurora was thrown violently. Alarms blaring, lights flickering. Talon yelled, "Shields at maximum. We can't hold this much longer." Ryland gritted his teeth. "Steady, steady, trust the path." And somehow, by instinct and courage, the crew guided the ship safely through. When the ship finally stabilized, silence fell over the bridge. Only the hum of the engines and the faint energy of the tear remaining. The crew looked at one another, relief and awe mixing in their eyes. Kira spoke softly, "We made it, but we aren't safe yet." The tear loomed ahead, a doorway to the unknown, The emergency signal's warning echoed in their minds. Rylan looked out at the swirling energies. Whatever is waiting on the other side, we must be ready, he said, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. Every member of the Aurora felt it, a call to rise, to face challenges greater than any human had faced before. Humanity's courage and strength would be tested, and the journey had only just begun. As they prepared to cross into the tear, a feeling settled over the crew, a mix of fear, excitement, and determination. They were not alone, and the universe had eyes on them, watching, waiting. The emergency signal had chosen them, and they would not fail. The Aurora shuddered as it crossed the tier in space, colors and lights swirling around the ship like liquid fire. Commander Rylan gripped the railing, his eyes wide. Hold steady. Everyone, stay focused. The crew felt a strange pressure in their minds, a pull that made their hearts race and thoughts tangle. Through the shifting lights, a massive structure appeared, floating silently in the void. It was like nothing human eyes had ever seen, a cathedral of metal and energy, glowing with soft alien light, its spires stretching into infinity. Lieutenant Kira whispered, This is incredible. It's alive." The sensors detected energy patterns that resembled intelligence, each pulse filled with purpose. Talon's hands flew over the console, reading the data. It's not just a structure, it's a mind, enormous, ancient, and aware of us. The crew held their breath as the Aurora approached, the ship responding almost like it knew the gravity and energy flows around the structure, guiding them safely. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from the structure, enveloping the ship, not with harm, but with information. Images and sensations flooded the minds of the crew, visions of civilizations rising and falling, planets destroyed and saved, and a message that shook their souls. "You are the hope. The darkness must not prevail. Humanity must rise." The words were not spoken, but felt, deep in their bones. Rylan's voice was firm but reverent. "This intelligence, it is giving us a mission." Kira nodded, still staring at the lights. "We are to carry its warning, and its guidance, forward." Talon shivered, overwhelmed by the knowledge being imprinted on his mind. I understand now. The darkness isn't just out there. It's coming for everything." The structure pulsed again, showing them a distant star system, alive with light and life, yet under threat from a shadowy force. It was a test and a map, a challenge for humanity to rise above fear and doubt. Every crew member understood that this journey was no longer just about survival, but about purpose, courage, and the protection of all life. Rylan spoke to the crew, his voice calm but resolute. "We have been chosen to carry this knowledge, to act before the darkness arrives. Our courage, our unity, and our strength, all of it will be tested, but we will not fail." The crew felt a swell of pride and determination, their fear transforming into resolve. As the Aurora moved away from the alien structure, the emergency signal faded, but its presence lingered, a guiding light in the void. The crew looked at one another, each of them changed, wiser and braver than before. Kira said softly, "We are part of something bigger, something that will define humanity." Rylan nodded, looking at the stars ahead. "The journey is far from over, and the darkness is coming. We must rise to meet it." The ship sailed onward, leaving the living structure behind, but carrying its message in every heartbeat. Every member of the Aurora knew they were no longer just explorers, but guardians, chosen to face challenges greater than any humans had faced before. And in the distance, in the cold black void, the shadows waited, patient and relentless. But humanity, guided by courage, intelligence, and unity, was ready to meet them. The Aurora sailed through the void, the message of the ancient intelligence etched into every mind on board. Commander Rylan stood at the bridge, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing on him. "The darkness is coming. We must be ready," he said, his voice steady, though his heart raced. The sensors suddenly flared, detecting a massive shadow approaching, dark and vast, moving faster than any ship could naturally travel. Lieutenant Kira shouted, "It's here. The darkness, it's real." The crew braced themselves, shields at full power, engines straining. Every member knew this was the ultimate test, the moment when courage would define humanity's fate. The dark entity loomed closer, an endless void that seemed to consume light. Its presence was oppressive, pressing against their minds, sowing fear and doubt. But the crew of the Aurora held firm, each remembering the message of the intelligence. Humanity must rise. Do not fail. Talon adjusted the energy shields, sweat dripping from his brow. We can survive this. We have to. Ryland took a deep breath. Focus on the path the structure showed us. Trust in each other. And use the knowledge they gave us. The Aurora fired its newly adapted energy arrays. Not to destroy, but to create a protective field. A bubble of light and life around the ship. The darkness hit the barrier, roaring like a living storm. But the shield held, flickering but unbroken. The ship moved with purpose, weaving through the void. Guided by the map and insights from the alien intelligence, every maneuver was precise, every decision critical. The darkness tested them, sending illusions, twisting reality, trying to shake their courage, but each crew member stood firm, remembering why they had been chosen. Suddenly, a blinding wave of light burst from the Aurora, harmonizing with the energy of the ancient intelligence. The darkness recoiled, fragmented, and began to dissipate, unable to withstand the unity and determination of the humans. Cheers erupted on the bridge, though cautious. As the entity was not gone completely, it lingered, watching, perhaps learning, but it had been repelled. Rylan exhaled, exhausted but proud. We did it. Humanity stood against the darkness. Kira smiled, tears in her eyes, and we rose to the challenge. We truly rose. Talon leaned back in his chair, awe written across his face. I never imagined we could face something like that and survive. The Aurora sailed onward, leaving the remnants of the shadow behind, carrying the knowledge of the ancient intelligence, a message of hope and preparation for the future. Humanity had proven itself capable of courage, intelligence, and unity, ready to face challenges far greater than themselves. As stars stretched endlessly ahead, the crew knew this was only the beginning of a new chapter. The emergency signal that had terrified them now became a symbol of purpose and inspiration, guiding humanity toward greatness. And somewhere, far beyond the known universe, the ancient intelligence observed, knowing that its choice had been wise, for humanity had risen. The Aurora continued its journey, its crew ready for whatever lay ahead, united, brave, and determined. The darkness may return, but humanity would not falter. They had been tested, and they had risen,